Hello, hello, hello. Welcome back to my channel. My name is Misty Moss. I am a boudoir photographer, self-portrait artist, and burlesque performer, all things self-love. And today we are doing something new, entirely new to this channel, a new concept that I came up with a while ago, and I reached out to my good friend Chris to help me accomplish it. We are collaborating on a theme. So this is kind of like a battle of the artists, except for there's no battle involved. This is just collaboration and to inspire one another to make art. So we both have a theme that we are working with, and we are going to create our art using the same theme, and then we get together and we look at what the other person made and we talk about it and we tell you guys all about it. Now, a little bit of backstory before I tell you more about the collab. I want to tell you about my collaborator in crime, Chris. Chris is a boudoir photographer down in Los Angeles, California. He works a lot with fantasy art. I would call it high fantasy. I probably should have asked him in his own words to describe his style. I didn't. So you have to go check out his work and decide for yourself what you would call it. You can check him out on Instagram here. And he also just started his very own YouTube channel. So please go support his channel. I will leave a link down below in the description. I had an absolute honor to shoot with Chris when I was down in LA earlier this year. I went down to LA to teach a workshop and to do some shoots, and I also booked a shoot of my own with Chris. Now, I have followed Chris's work for years. I've loved his style and loved how he approaches boudoir photography from this fantasy perspective. And one day, I get this notification on Instagram. I think it was on Instagram, where he just slides into my DMs to tell me that he likes my art. And I was like, excuse me? Hello? I'm obsessed with you. So I pitched this collaboration to him to see if he wanted to work on this long distance project. So we're calling this the Dark and Painterly collaboration. For this project, I basically had a theme in my head that I wanted to create art with. I had a very strong vision, and I was like, hey, it'd be really cool to see how another artist interprets this same theme and this same vision and what they make out of it versus what I make out of it. During our first Zoom call, Chris and I decided that the theme that we wanted to create with was something dark, incorporating a candle or a lantern or some kind of alternative light source, and playing with themes of solitude and loneliness. The theme to me was really exciting because it was slightly vague, but also somehow still quite specific. When I was telling Chris about this, I was like, I kind of am envisioning like a siren. I want to play with the idea of like a siren luring men to their deaths. That was my vision for the shoot. And I told that to Chris in our Zoom call, and he didn't tell me what he was doing. So he went into this knowing more about what I was doing than what he was doing. But it ended up working out really cool because then he kind of took that and used another kind of fantasy character in his theme in his photo shoot, and it worked out really cool. Being a solopreneur can be very lonely. Being a photographer in the times of social media can be very isolating. So I wanted to work on this collaboration together to get a sense of camaraderie and really kind of work on that community over competition aspect that we all like to preach, and really just double down and see what could come out of it. Now, we both filmed behind the scenes videos of our shoots and of our process, so you can get a little insight into how both of these sessions went.
All right, so I just arrived. I think this is the shoot that we're gonna be doing the candlelight shoot at. This one actually just happened to work out. We are going to be shooting something that is vampiric in nature, which I'm very excited about. Yeah, I don't really know how this is gonna go, but we're gonna film. It's gonna look great, and then we're gonna get some really cool art out of it. And here is Jess now, and let's go see Rachel.
Hello! We are going to do a shoot, a creative shoot. I'm doing my part of our creative collab thing that's going on. Today feels very chaotic, so I'm wondering if Chris is gonna film all this like beautiful B-roll and it's gonna be so elegant, and mine is pure feral chaos. So, but you know what, that's just how my brain works, especially for creative shoots. All right, I'm here, I have arrived. The model is just running a little bit late, so she's like 5 minutes behind, which is perfect. Gives me time to repack my bags and make sure I have all my poop in a group. The sun is just setting, so that gives us just enough time to get down to the water and find a nice spot, and then the blue hour will kind of set in. I brought a light, so when it gets dark, we can take these cool shots I have in my mind. They're in here. I'm hoping it all works out. I have this is so wildly outside what I regularly shoot, so I'm pretty excited to just get creative. I realized I parked in a very busy street and there's a lot of cars going by. It's probably really noisy. All right, let's repack our bags. Let's do the thing.
All right, so we just got the backdrop set up. Here it is behind me. We're gonna be using an Alien Bee 1600 today as our light, and I'm gonna go ahead and set up the diffusion and the big modifier, which is going to be our sunlight / moonlight, because we're working with a vampire today. So I guess it's moonlight only. So moonlight and then candlelight. And over here, take a look at this. Boom. Some nice extras. It's gonna be fantastic. All right, we're all set up. Here's what set is going to look like. It's gonna be great. I'm really excited. Looks like we're just about ready to shoot, so let's get into it.
To be the opposite to Chris's indoor strobe lighting setup, I will be shooting in the outdoors using my favorite preferred method of light, which is just a big old ball of fire in the sky. We're using all natural light. I am using the candles as a supplemental light source to just play with the theme and have that element of additional lighting that we had agreed upon when we went into the session. And aside from that, the only extra element I have in here is the sheet for my prop, just to add a little bit more renaissance and drapery to the set and to tell the story a little bit more thoroughly.
Stolen. Oh, the wind was a paid actor. This is free. Bring it back a little bit. Yeah, and then look kind of over at it. Yes. Good. And then looking at you. And then maybe hold it down a little bit. And then look over this way. Yeah.
Yeah? Did we hit some? Did we hit some?
Yeah.
Cool.
Okay. With this one, I'm gonna tilt you just slightly up at the waist. Yes. Okay. 1, 2, 3. Yes.
Again?
It's so good. Yes. I'm going to turn your shoulders from being here to yes. You
Take
are-
traction.
You also intuitively know.
Yeah.
Both of you. Hold. Let me refocus.
Let me know when to
Speaking of fives.
squats.
God damn.
Yeah.
Oh, alright. I know. This is like
We
where my
suffer
back.
together.
I know. This is where the background in martial
Yeah.
arts really comes in for me. Test shot 1. Yes. 1. Turn your face slightly towards me. Yes. 1, 2, 3. Perfect. Yes.
Now, we had absolutely no idea what the other person was doing. I knew when Chris was shooting because he told me, my shoot's done and I'm excited. And he knew when I was shooting because I told him in our Zoom call because it was just the date that I had available. Aside from that, I didn't know what he was going to do. I didn't know what concept he was going with. I didn't know what his model was going to wear, what color scheme he was going to go with. I didn't know anything. So that was a really cool part of the process, especially at the end when we went through the photos together to really see how different we approached this one idea. It was also really neat coming together at the end to talk about the process because we kind of both had entirely different processes going into it. The day of my session turned out to be a little bit of a chaotic day before my session, so I felt like I was a little bit all over the place. The lanterns that I had ordered only arrived that day, not even that long before the shoot, so I was unboxing them, going to the session. Of course, as always, once I got to the session, everything worked out. We shot really quickly and we got the shots that I needed really fast because the model I was working with was absolutely stunning. I will leave her Instagram down below as well, so you can go check her out. But then on the flip side, when I was talking to Chris, he was like, I had such a gentle day. It was so relaxed. I shot in a garage. So it already felt like we both had just totally this dichotomy coming into this project, trying to get these photos and create this art. Another really cool thing about this was just seeing really how different our styles are. I mean, obviously, if you look at our Instagrams, they're very different. Chris shoots in a studio with a backdrop and then composites the background elements into the image afterwards. But I do the opposite, where I have my subject already in the environment that I want them to be in. So for this, because I knew that I was doing this collaboration with Chris and he was going to be making these super high fantasy, amazing works of art, I kind of was like, hey, I'm going to switch up my process just a little bit and use a style that I normally only reserve for my very artistic self-portraits. But I knew that because I had asked Chris to do this, that I wanted to try something new and really come into this project with the intention of just learning and just playing and just creating something just for the sake of creating it. Another thing that I really enjoyed about this collaboration and this project was just seeing another artist's brain at work and really just talking about the process of creating these images together. Our Zoom call was like 3 hours long, and I was trying to cut it down so that my editor of this video would have an easier time pulling out clips for you guys to review, and it was honestly so hard deciding what to cut and what to even like present to them to choose from, because the conversation that came out of this project was just so in-depth and just so artistically satisfying. It's really rare that you get somebody who understands your craft as much as somebody else who does your craft. So to be able to like talk about the techniques that we used and really nerd out and get excited about each of our respective artworks was just really, really, really fun. I really liked that chat we had. I'm gonna upload the whole 2 hours of it onto Patreon. So if you guys want to actually like see us reviewing our arts like in real time, our arts, I just said our arts. If you want to see us looking at our arts in real time, I'm going to upload that to Patreon, because honestly, it's a shame for that conversation just to collect dust on my hard drive, because it was just such such a beautiful conversation to have with another artist. So I'm so thankful that Chris was on board for my crazy shenanigans and wanting to do this long distance artistic collaboration. I will let the Zoom call and the artworks speak for themselves for the rest of this video.
So tell me about the process of your shoot. So I know that it was chaotic, but when you were actually shooting, tell me, did you have any sort of storyline in mind? Did you have any sort of, tell me what themes were going through your head, what emotions you felt when you were shooting, or like what you were, what you feel like the image, or do you have multiple images? One image? Four images. Wow,
There was
I don't have
supposed to
four.
be more, but I just edited 4. Like there is more. I usually shoot quite a few, but
You're just trying not to put me through the ground because I only have 2. I was going to only do 1, but I have 2. And I have 2 different types of interpretations of what that light could mean. So I have 2. You have 4. Tell me, when you look at them, what do you feel from them as the artist?
I'm like looking at them right now because I needed to remember what this.
Yes.
Well, okay, first of all, I think I approached this a little bit differently because I had a very I had a picture in my head that I was trying to recreate.
Ooh.
Like, it was like a download I got, and I was like, I want to make this photo.
Do you know what inspired that? I'm sorry to cut you off.
No, I have no idea. I just woke up.
Wow.
And, I'll make this picture. So it was pretty on brand for the photo I had, which was like really dark, lots of browns, really moody. Kind of like we were talking about, like that siren vibe of like, I'm gonna seduce you to your death. So I was kind of going off of that. And yeah, they came out really good. I have more to edit. Like there will be more than 4 when I'm finished. So insert those later into this video. You'll see them. That's from the future. How did yours go? How did you feel?
So it went really well. I think so. The costuming was done by both the subject and a friend that was actually one of my first shoots. That's become a good friend of mine, and so she styled it with the subject. And so we had 2 people on set, which was really fun. Normally it's just me. So it was really fun to have another person there, especially a friend that knew both of us and was like hyping us up. We had black metal playing the whole time because Rachel, the subject, is like, I looked and saw the shirt and I was like, is that is that it is that a is it? And we're like, wait, do you also listen? And poor Jess is like, are we listening to black metal the whole time? We're like, yes. So we just listened to that the whole time. We had lots of fun. We all got super sweaty because it was in a garage and it's in California, and we were just sweat the whole way, as you do. As you do. But for the actual emotions that I feel like I pull from the shots, they feel very powerful, but they also feel very lonely. And I think one of the themes that Rachel wanted to play with was what it actually is like to be around after everyone is gone that you would have known multiple times. So it's a vampire, like this vampire look. I would give it a cross between I called it dark Disney as an aesthetic. So it's like, it's kind of got, because you'll see in the costuming, it's very big and it's very Muka-esque in the backdrops that I used. I know that you've seen one of the vampire pieces that I've done, potentially the one that has the huge headdress with the red with the, yeah, so it's from the same shoot, but that was supposed to be like, ooh, maybe it's in a garden and this is the only way that they can see daylight because it's like all hidden. But with these, it's like yeah, one of them is very wild and intense, and the other one is much more on the relaxed and introspective of the character, like introspective to themselves as opposed to like big and wide, as I normally do with the Renaissance stuff. Are you happy with the result that you got?
I am. I was a little bit scared because it was really dark out. Like I said, we shot a little bit later than I wanted to, so I had to do
Yeah, how did you compensate for that?
AI.
Did you use the AI denoise?
I sure did.
It's so good.
It is like, it's literally a game changer. Like
It is.
I wasn't like before. I think I would have been really scared of how my photos are going to turn out because of it. But because I've used this tool before, I wasn't worried. I just cranked up my ISO and was like, AI is going to handle it, and handle it. It did. But I put some like backdrops in the sky, which have like a really canvasy texture to them. So I had to overlay. I have some other
Love
textures
that.
that are like paper textures. So I just like had to put some texture.
Oh, you went real crazy on these. I love this.
Well, I had to. Otherwise, you're gonna come in here with these composites, and I'm gonna be like, "Here's my photos."
One photo. I was so scared. I did too, because I was like, if I show up and you have like a gallery of 17 images plus, and I'm like, one photo.
I had 27, and then I was
See, I knew that was coming.
yeah, and I was like, "He's gonna have one," so I cut it down to 4.
You're very sweet.
But I'm gonna go back and edit more later.
Okay. Do you want to show me yours first, or would you like me to show you?
So we flip a coin.
I have 0 stakes in this, so I want to go off your gut feeling. I feel like you want to show me your stuff, and I really want to see your stuff.
I feel like if I see yours first, I'm gonna start doubting myself. So
No, okay, show me your stuff first, because that's BS. You're amazing.
let's do it.
Okay, this to me is the opposite of what I'm doing in
Ooh,
terms of art.
yeah.
You are making a photograph have elements of a painting, which makes me doubt that it's actually a photograph, but I know it's a photograph, and the painting elements are subtle, and that sky is incredible.
the thing I like the most about this is how the fabric is almost the same color as the rocks.
Yes.
So it almost feels like the rocks are kind of like wrapping onto her. This is the one I wanted to get. This is the one I saw in my head.
Yes. You have a limited color palette.
Mm.
And I think what's really cool to me is the clouds, the rocks, and the dress all have a similar light to dark ratio. They have similar highlights and shadows. And I think that helps push the illusion that it is both a painting and a photograph, because it's got all of the, oh my gosh, it's beautiful.
I went in and I put the same color toning on like the digital backdrop. So I
Yes,
first and then put it in so it would match better.
it's incredible. Also, your triangles are going to town with your posing here.
Triangles forever. So this one was kind of more.
Oh my god, that's so cool. Sorry.
I can't see your face right now, so I don't know what you look like. Because when
I'm cheesy smiling.
oh yeah.
Ah.
So the first one was kind of the only one I wanted to capture, and then everything after it was just kind of like we're just fucking around and finding out. But we have these beautiful bluffs down by the ocean that I love a lot, and I love a lot of nerdy things about these. These are like they used to be glaciated, so whenever you're like rubbing the dirt away, you're like unearthing dirt that's like millions of years old.
Wow.
So whenever these are eroding, it's like new earth. And I think that I don't know. I just like spending time down by these bluffs because they're fucking cool. So when we shot down here, I knew I wanted to like incorporate just like this texture a little bit. And then I went kind of ham on the sky. I debated using the same sky as this one, but I kind of just wanted more like surrealism to it. Look at that texture.
I love that.
Oh, I had to be really careful to make sure that like this was kind of dark, and then this is like the way that the clouds like follow the bushes almost.
I was literally going to comment on that. I think you're just doing so much stuff that really helps sell the illusion of both painting and photograph. It's just super cool. And I'm curious, the light on your subject's leg and up to their hip, is that all practical? How much did you add in? How much did you accentuate it?
This is all practical. Like this is all lamplight.
Wow.
Face light is dodge and burned because that was more in darkness.
Really?
And I accentuated it like a little bit, but not nearly as much as I did just this little part on her face.
Wow.
Okay, ready?
All right. Yes, I am.
Bam.
That's so powerful.
Right? I feel like the other ones are so soft, and like this one is very soft, and
It is very soft.
welcoming kind of energy. Like she's almost like hopeful looking out to the sea. This one gets a little bit more powerful, and this one I feel like it's just like bam.
What's your favorite part of this?
The light. I really like how the light's illuminating her face, but then also like down her side.
Yes. Did you have to dodge and burn that at all, or
that's not real. That's not real.
it looks real?
Maybe she's born with it. Maybe it's Photoshop.
She's born with it. Maybe it's frequency separation to dodge and burn. No, it looks amazing. It looks very natural. I think, and this is something I want to compliment you on because you do this extremely well. The false highlight shine that wraps around the sides of your subjects. It's something that you do that I notice in almost all of your work. I don't know if it's how intentional it is versus it's just what your process, but you get this. I know, okay, I realize you can't see me, but I'm pointing to my underarm, my like rib section. So like rib section through hip, you create this like soft light that looks like it's wrapping your subjects, and it really helps define where they are. And I think it's a really cool thing that you do.
That's a really good compliment. Thank you. It's very intentional, obsessive.
It's amazing.
So that means a lot. You ready?
I am for the final image. Oh, wow. How much of this was your direction for posing versus their direction for how they were just feeling it out?
I like to say I put people in like a base pose, and then they kind of fill the gaps. So I feel like I put her in this position and I placed the sheet and I had her like do like the specifics of like hand placement and then this is very intentional for lighting just to make sure that it's kind of getting
Yeah.
her face and her hip. But yeah, I feel like energy, mood, and the overall vibe comes from within the client.
That's awesome.
But like the placement of the pose is pretty well curated, especially for shoots like this where the lighting is so integral.
Mm.
The chin has to be like in a very specific spot. There's not a lot of like wiggle room for like playing with like directionality of the pose. Okay, your turn.
Okay. Now I feel nervous. I feel like I didn't even do the assignment right. I will let you decide. Would you prefer to see more lonely and closed off and desolate, or would you like to see strong, powerful, and intense?
I think I want to see the strong one first and then
Okay.
the after.
Sounds good. All right, 3, 2.
Ugh, what?
So, this one is my much more crazy and intense one. The theme of the artwork for this was the vampiric connection to time, as well as the connection to light, because it cannot be in sunlight. So we have a sun that's almost completely gone on the bottom right down here. And they are providing their own light. As for the actual inspiration for the lighting, it's absolutely the Eye of Sauron, because it's the coolest lighting reference you can possibly pull. And I really wanted to do that. And then the light being emitted from the time, also, it's the coolest thing ever. There we go. It's 100%. You can see it's a little skull in there.
Wow.
So there's like a little skull just popping through. But yeah, we wanted to play with the concept of vampires, connection and potential magical control of time or light, and show what that looks like in kind of like the spirit realm. Yeah.
How do you
So
differentiate the tones of your colors if you can't see them?
So it's easier for me to see when they're this saturated. I'm actually going to do a reel. Something I've been doing recently is, as my little self-love, self-care thing, when I complete a piece I really love, I open it and leave it open on my desktop for the next morning when I wake up, and I come and I sit down and I look at what I did the day before that I was really proud of. And I realized that it wasn't this piece, but it was a different piece that I was working on. I realized that the trees were green, like moss green, and I thought they were gold. And I published this piece a while ago, and I was looking at it and I was like, it's a completely different color palette than what I knew it was. And so what that made me realize is what everyone else is seeing of my work is different than the art that I'm actually creating in my head.
That's wild.
And I think that's really cool.
Yeah.
I'm not trying to compare myself to Beethoven, but like the idea of Beethoven experiencing his own music differently, being deaf, and the people experiencing his work, experiencing something from someone who is not able to understand it in the same way, I think is a really cool idea. And realizing that I will never truly see my work the way that other people do, literally, like I will not be able to see what's in my work, is really. Would you like to see the next one?
I guess so. I have to stop staring at this. I just won't look at it forever. No, okay, I'm ready.
Okay. And here's the next one.
Ugh. It's so good. Is this
So
lit? Was this candle also not lit?
it was also not lit.
Bullshit. That's insane. So good.
So with the candlelight, the thing I probably spent the most time on this one was the highlights here, and it mimicking the actual candle in terms of like where the brightest points were, as well as cooking the color into the bicep and then allowing it to roll off, because I actually had it covering the entire thing, but I realized that the candlelight wouldn't be that bright and
Yeah.
it should roll off and go to the more bluish tone of the backdrop as it receded into the back here.
Amazing. The texture on the corset, how did you put that in?
That is I'll zoom in so you can actually see. This is a thing that is like a finishing action that I use. It is called Orange Box. It's from Orange Box Effects, and it is an oil painting filter. I add it to all of my images. It's my final step, and it allows you to add painted texture to an image. It's one of the ways that I sell the illusion of the break between the painting and reality. So my personal rule is no paint texture ever touches the skin, but it goes onto the clothing, and it seeps slightly into the hair. And what that does is it allows your eye to seamlessly roll between real and paint, and it helps sell the illusion of where the paint break is.
That's incredible. What's the story behind this one? What was the inspo?
So for this one, this was just more was the lonely vampire feeling. I wanted personally, there was no narrative behind this, so when I was editing it, I was just kind of making it up as I was going. So my thought was, this is kind of the vampire gaining knowledge, but also taking like a stroll. This is like their daytime, right? And not all vampires, you're not always going to be feasting, you're not always going to be eating someone, you're not always breaking into someone's house, right? You're not always doing something nefarious. Sometimes you're just in silence and you are there for eternity until you die, right? As a vampire. So I just thought maybe this is like, they've woken up, this is their morning, they're walking through, this is their like peaceful hour, right? Everyone else is asleep, and they're just embracing the lonely nature that they have. So this vampire is walking through, and then developed a new technique on this one actually that I'm really proud of, with the borders. I wanted it to mimic, as the light went over the border, it was eliminated. So what I ended up doing was creating multiple borders and layering them so that they had depth. So that rather than fading into nothing, they faded into a different sort of darkness. So rather than just adding them and adding them and adding them with color dodge, which is what I normally do to get them to like latch in, I stacked multiply layers underneath and then painted off the color dodge and let the multiply layer come through, so that in the shadows it became darker. And then when it hit the light, I painted the color dodge layer back in so that it like looked like a aggressive difference between brightness and darkness, as opposed to just fading in and out of opacity versus no opacity.
It's incredible.
Do you want to see the original painting of this?
I do.
Okay, cool. So the original of this is,
Wow.
so this is the original painting. Let's see, can I do a little side by side action almost? Let's see. There we go. Cool. So there is the original painting. It's been changed a decent amount from the original color palette, but those look like your clouds up there.
Kind of, yeah. It's great.
But yeah, this is the original, and then just probably 7 or 8 layers of different blue tones to not, because when you switch color palettes, you can't just adjust the white balance, because it shifts everything at the same rate, and light does not work that way. Yeah. What do you feel when you see this piece?
It's so beautiful. First of all, it's stunning. I love how much of a maximalist you are, and how you're always asking like, how much more can I add? more. It's just so fun to see, because it's so the opposite of how I do, where I'm like, less is more, and I'm very like almost like a minimalist-ish when I shoot.
Yes, you are.
To see that kind of like difference. It doesn't feel overly lonely to me. Like it feels she's alone, but it still has a power to it. and almost like a hopefulness to it. Like
Mm.
her chin is up really tall, like her body language is giving like hope more than like desolation.
Ooh, love that.
Yeah. Yeah, it still has a beautiful strength to it. I love it. I love how she's like coming up out of the ground and the way her hand is like gripping the candle is really soft. I almost feel like she's gonna drop it at any point. It makes me a little bit nervous. Because it's so delicate and dainty. How do you think the theme of this project kind of like guided you to create the photos?
I think for me, I wanted to, well, you and I talked about pushing ourselves to do something new or different. So with both of these, I wanted to try something a little bit. Uh, with this one, I wanted to do a more straight interpretation of like candlelight.
Hmm.
But with the first one, I wanted to interpret candlelight as something. So candlelight, I typically think of as something that's very gentle and very soft and very delicate almost. So with the original one, I wanted to take the candlelight concept and push it to what if the candle was like a huge source of power, or a very in like what if this was like an all-encompassing uh thing, as opposed to a soft little piece. Because this one, her hold on the candle is very intense. It's almost like a sword hilt that she's holding, right? It's almost like this ready to strike feeling. Whereas the second one is, you're right, it's a lot more dainty. It's very closed. The hand is closed in.
Also, with this one, if I looked at this on Instagram, I wouldn't see a candle first. I'd see like a wand,
Yes.
very
Yes.
tool-like almost, instead of just like a lighting implement. I feel like
All
ours
right.
are so different in so many
Yes.
things, but also have still that similar kind of through line. It's really cool to see how we ended up with what we did at the end. Yeah, I feel like you made two pieces that had like such a different story, and I focused on making multiple pieces that had like a consistent through line through all of them.
Yes.
It's just neat to see the different approach that we both took.
It's really cool. I love what you created.
Show me your raws.
All right, let's see the raws. So the raw for this
Mhm.
is this.
Fuck off. It's so good. Uh,
So candle was not lit. The light is coming from high left. It's a 70-inch parabolic. It has 2 layers of diffusion inside of it. No idea what my actual settings are, but you can see how dead those contacts are.
yeah.
So I really had to work on that with the final edit to add a those highlights in there to make it feel like a real eyeball, because these are very matte versus glossy.
Yeah.
So that's the raw for this one. And then the raw for this one is here.
Amazing.
So once again, 70-inch parabolic.
So
Wow, what a difference. And it's all there. It's not
yeah,
like it's not there, but the edit that you created, I hate the word timeless, because photographers violently overuse it and they don't know what they're talking about. But it feels, I think the better word and phrasing is, it feels out of time.
I like that.
It feels, it's not timeless as in like, oh wow, in 400 years it will still be like, it could be taken then. It's like, no, it feels like it's from a different reality. It feels like it's taken out of time. I don't know when this is, and I don't know when this is. Yeah, wow. Oh, that's
So
what a
this one,
difference.
yeah, she had so much light coming on her leg that I really had to artificially light her face. And it was,
Wow.
but yeah, it's kind of fun seeing them side by side. I'm enjoying this.
I want to note something you did here that is really cool. You really brightened the background right behind her, leading up to where that S curve you said was, but
Mhm.
you left behind that pretty darn dark, and it really works because the contrast turns into the clouds,
Mhm.
and I mean, man, those clouds just really enhance that image.
Yeah, it really makes it. I feel like this photo is just It's just somebody on a beach with a sheep, but this becomes something else entirely.
Thank you for, yeah, I really loved how I almost feel like you blended our styles together and made it completely your own with your compositing with the painterly skies. I think it was such an incredible way to use it because it's something I would never have done. Like my brain would never have thought of the way that you did it.
Mm.
And the way that you did it really crafted those images from really beautiful boudoir images to something that feels fantasy and out of time and renaissance-y, but like it's like a blend of everything and it's very beautiful. And I was very inspired to see that from you. And yeah, you're amazing.
You're amazing. Yeah. Chris and I are already talking about another collaboration that we're going to work on and really kicking it up to the next level for the next one and making it even more complicated for the both of us. I feel like this one was just like, we were just testing out the waters to see what even this kind of collaboration would look like and how it would go. We both had such a good time that we were like, let's do this again. And we're going to do it even more so. So that's going to be really great. I'm excited to show you guys what we create in the next one. I really hope you liked watching this collaboration together. Let me know what your favorite part of the video was down below in the comments because I would really like to know what you guys got out of this as well. Thank you so much for being here. Please don't forget to subscribe to both of our channels, like and hit that bell, and I will see y'all in the next video. Goodbye.
Thank you.